here. I carry a badge.
Welcome to Behind the Badge. I'm your host, Sandra Brandon, and our co-host, Sergeant Jimmy Brown. How was your weekend? Or, see, I always want to say
today's
that.
Friday
Always.
now, so
How was your week?
Still haven't got over this.
I still haven't gotten over. I know, and it's been like 2 months now. How was your week?
It was a busy week.
Did you go to the Preds game last night?
Well, yes.
Well, yes, of course. And I can't remember. I wasn't listening or
Yeah.
paying attention. Did they win?
No,
or?
they didn't win.
Oh.
They got beat last night.
How are we doing?
It happens.
How are we doing at the playoff standings?
We're still in first in our, division.
Okay.
So
well, then that's fine.
we're still doing okay.
That's good then. We have two wonderful guests today, and it's a very timely topic with things that have been going on in the news. Our first guest is a fellow sergeant, Chris Olson, and his official title, we were talking about this beforehand, you do amazing work in our training department, and you're also our principal force instructor. So you work hand in hand with the new hires that come in and get them trained, understanding the use of force. And how long do you work with them normally when you start training them?
Well, it's really a team effort. I'm part of a team that has their hand on every new hire that comes through, whether it be somebody who's already certified or a brand new person off the street.
Okay.
Brand new person off the street, we have a 10-week program. We have our hands on them about 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks, and then intermittently on them while they go through the FTO program.
And from my understanding, even after you are certified, you still have to come back for quarterly firearms training with the Sheriff's Department.
Plus in service. So they have to do 40 hours a week in service plus quarterly firearms. So we have our hands on the department all throughout the year.
Well, thank you for doing that. And our fellow guest today, Melanie Thompson, you're the Regional Vice President of the Better Business Bureau of Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. How long have you been in that role?
I've been in that role 5 years now.
Okay.
So, and the office is actually, it's a branch office of the national headquarters, so we have an office right here in Clarksville.
Oh, that's wonderful.
On Madison Street.
Okay, wonderful.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about, with the terminology that the media likes to use is active shooter or a shooting incident at a high school or high school shooting. But, with your permission, I think I would like to change that to something that's a little bit more descriptive of the situation. And I'm just going to say it's a massacre. I mean, that's what people come in, and that's what's happened. When we use that term shooter, we're all, you're a shooter. You train people to shoot properly.
That's
so
correct.
that term can have a positive and a negative term.
That's correct.
And it has a lot of positive terms because when you're a responsible firearms owner and you're a hunter and you work in law enforcement, you are a shooter. So we're going to change that to massacre today, and we're going to talk about the climate that's going on in the school systems and in the country, basically. And I know, Sergeant Olson, you teach a course to our law enforcement officers, but then you also teach a civilian course, which is a civilian response. So the first thing I want to make perfectly clear that people understand is when you teach that civilian course, you are not teaching them what the law enforcement response is, do you?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So that's proprietary. So we don't want everybody to know how we respond to an incident like that. So what do you teach in the civilian course?
We found out several years ago when we first picked up this program, that we do a really good job at teaching law enforcement. We do a really good job at teaching all our first responders. And we're missing an opportunity to teach the people we're responding to, whether it be schools, churches, businesses. And we can teach them an element of how to fight that fight during the fight when it occurs, to not only facilitate survival, but win the fight. And we teach that the three basic concepts of avoid, deny, and defend. We walk through the process of what it looks like, and that is designed to mesh with our response. So what we teach police officers and what we teach civilians actually mesh together for better response.
How important would you say it is for someone to be aware and take that course and know what to do?
I would say that it's a primary, just like we learn how to work out, just like we learn how to drive a car. These days, with the things that are going on in this country, we have to understand the mechanics of you call it a massacre, we call it a homicide in progress. On all, whether it be 1 or 50, is a homicide in progress, and how to defend ourselves. Now the downside of being in law enforcement is we can't be everywhere at once. Our job, as much as we'd like to protect the citizens, we can't protect the citizens. Our job is to assist them in protecting themselves. And so we're assisting the people, the public, giving them tools and techniques that they already have in place, and putting A and B together to let them understand and give them a better understanding on how to protect themselves during this time before law enforcement gets there. So
Okay.
it's a fundamental thing I think everybody needs to know.
Okay. And what can they expect when they go to the course, through the course? How is it broken up, and what do you go
It's
over?
a 2-hour, a little over 2-hour block of instruction, and again, it depends on whether we're doing this for a school or church or businesses, because we have the same foundation but with different information for different audiences. We have about a 2.5-hour block of instruction that includes most of the time, if the facility can handle it, a walkthrough on what avoiding and denying and defending looks like. But it's a 2-hour block of instruction that starts with history, and then we go through different instances that have occurred not only in the United States but around the world, and then we mesh that into what makes us a target here in Clarksville, Montgomery County, and then we press on to how to combat the issue when it occurs.
Okay. And I've gone to several of those classes with you all. You guys do an excellent, phenomenal job in instructing it. Definitely my hat's off to you because you get the point across. I know some people feel like maybe the classroom portion isn't as important as the practical role-playing portion that y'all incorporate into the course. But you tell our audience, how important is it to know the background and to know the mindset and what they're dealing with?
The background was designed to show where we've come from. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have to sell the idea of what's going to occur, and we shouldn't have to sell it anymore. We know it's prevalent. We know it's all over the United States, but there are still some mindsets out there who are in what we call denial, and denial is actually the biggest enemy we fight. It's not the bad guys. It's the denial that is going to happen here. Once we can get past that denial and it's a sales pitch telling people how things occur, why they occur, and how often it occurs. Once we get past that denial, everything else is easy.
Why do you say the denial is the hardest thing?
Denial is an easy way to deal with a problem.
Okay.
If we can deny that the problem is going to exist, we don't have to prepare for it. We don't have to spend money on it. And the good thing about what we're doing here, and the good thing about what we're allowed to do here, is we can be proactive, not reactive. There's a lot of agencies around the United States. There's a lot of places around the United States that's had to be reactive. We've got the opportunity here. We've got good money, time, and effort, and good backing by our administration to be proactive in this. Matter of fact, we've been so proactive. We've been doing this for 4 years.
Yes, you have.
And schools and businesses, other agencies and other places are now just getting on board. So we're far ahead of the curve here, and I'm kind of proud of that. But the whole denial thing, once we get past that denial, everything else is easy. We can start getting the buy-in to learn these tactics and techniques.
Right. One of the things I took away from your course that I hope other people take away, and this is just blunt and to the honest, being to the point, is that you instruct in the class, and that always kind of stood out in my mind, that a person who comes into a situation with a loaded weapon wanting to kill people is not there to negotiate with. He is not there for you to talk to and to talk down. And what do you tell people when you're in that situation and someone's coming in and shooting?
Everybody, every person born on this planet has got the right to defend themselves. Everybody should have the knowledge and ability to be able to defend themselves and understand the mechanics that, A, you're legally okay to defend yourself, up to and including deadly force if it warrants it. And there are laws on the books to protect that decision you make when it comes time to defend yourself. That person is there to do one thing. Kill
And what
you,
is that?
Kill you, your family, your kids.
Exactly.
Anybody that's in that building.
And anybody who says anything differently,
That's correct.
they're in denial.
They're in denial.
They're in
They are.
denial.
And if you sit back and do nothing, you're going to be a victim.
Yes.
You know what's going to happen if you do nothing.
Right.
So what we like to say is the best thing to do is do something. The second best thing to do is, the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. We know what's going to happen.
So you're perfectly clear with our audience. What is his purpose when he comes?
His purpose there is to kill you.
Okay.
Kill you and your kids. And we say your kids because a lot of people, I'm okay dying, but when you throw your kids in the mix, the mama bear, the papa bear comes out, and they're more apt to do something to protect their kids than they are themselves.
Okay.
Right.
So,
And if you've been killed, your kids are the next ones in
sure.
line.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You can't protect
Absolutely.
them anymore.
Absolutely.
I think that was the biggest thing that I took away from the course, just, and listening, is that and it never really clicked with me. I never thought of it in that mindset, but you're exactly right. They are there to do one thing, and it's not to talk. It's not to come and eat lunch or to negotiate something. They have one purpose, and that's to kill, and that's it. We'll be right back after these messages.
The year is 2018,
And in the state of Tennessee, citizens have found a new instant game that delivers incredible amounts of fun.
Wow, loaded with $100 prizes.
Exclusive, exciting, here for a limited time only, and starring your best odds ever to win $100 or more.
This game is awesome!
This February, get ready for one of the biggest blockbusters ever with the limited edition instant game. Only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Just remember to play responsibly. When you play the new multiplier instant games from the Tennessee Lottery, there's a chance you could win more cash than you expected. In fact, with multiplier games, you could turn $1,000 into $10,000, $5,000 into $250 grand, or you could even turn $10,000 into a whopping $2 million. So pick up a multiplier instant game today, and you could just watch the cash fall into place. Multiplier games, new from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Just remember to play responsibly.
Cooking for large groups is exhausting, and it saps the fun out of hosting parties and events. Let your friends at the Lunchbox do the cooking next time with carry-out catering for small family gatherings up to large company outings. Whether you want barbecue and sides, hot dogs and chips, or homemade chili, the Lunchbox has the food for your next party covered. Call them today at 931-802-8227. Or better yet, go sample their extensive menu at 2124 Woodlawn Road. Fresh ingredients become delicious homemade meals at the Lunchbox, Clarksville's new favorite eatery.
In your time of loss, you need to know someone cares. Since 1916, Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home has been serving the Clarksville area with the kindness and respect you deserve. It's their goal to provide quality, compassionate services to you and your family during this very difficult time. Mike Parchman and his staff genuinely care and provide prearranged plans that accept insurance to help ease your pain in your time of grief. Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home. People who care. A name you can trust. Neil Tarpley Parchman Funeral Home. Madison Street in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Behind the Badge. Our guest today is Melanie Thompson with the BBB and Sergeant Olson with the Sheriff's Office. And we're talking about massacres that go on in high schools or churches or any type of public setting, and the shooters that are involved in these. Can you tell us, you teach this CRAZE course, which is the civilian response to active shooters, but it's changed over time, hasn't it? You guys always try to stay ahead and abreast of everything that's going on out there.
The first version of this that came out, not necessarily through the program that we teach, but the first message was run, hide, fight. And they started learning, especially in the Virginia Tech incident, that hiding is a passive action. It's not an action at all. It's just passive. And hiding is basically doing nothing. Mm-hmm. If you're lucky, you're gonna live. But we teach a more active role of denying entry into the building or denying entry into the room instead of just plain hiding, stacking things up against the doors, turning lights out. There's a lot of things that we teach that far surpasses hiding. Mm-hmm. We want everybody to take an active role in their defense, not just going to hide someplace.
And then, so the latter portion of that is defend. And I've been through your course. You look at your surroundings in this particular church or building or school, and you show people what they can do to defend themselves, correct?
And like we talked about, there's things in the room every day that we don't look at that we can use as tools to defend ourselves, whether it be a hot pot of coffee, scissors, a keyboard off a computer. Anybody that comes through the door, we need to change their mindset. And sometimes that split change of mindset where they have to reorient is an opportunity for everybody to pile on the guy and stop him.
Right. And I was listening to a gentleman who trains military. He's been doing this for a very long time. And he says during his training that we're not necessarily equipped in our mindset to necessarily cause harm to someone. So that's something that we first have to get over. And that's something you talk about in this course. You address that, don't you?
Yes, desensitizing to, we're as humans, we're not born, most stable humans aren't born to do damage or to kill another human being. That's something we have to desensitize ourselves to. Mm-hmm. We do that with our military. Anybody, of course, who's listening has probably been through the military or knows somebody who has. And they take young minds that are still moldable, and they put them through events that desensitize them to taking another life because that's their job. And unfortunately, we're using those same tactics and techniques and some of those same tools through video games and movies to do the same thing to our children. We're desensitizing them, and that's why we're having some of the problems we're having today. With that being said, anytime you walk out into public, anytime you're in a Walmart or you go into a school, you need to have your own desensitizing going on, knowing you might have to be called upon to to do damage to somebody else, up to and including killing them.
Right. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. You just
No.
need to be aware that
No.
that's part of our human nature.
The difference in us and them is we have a social conscience.
Right.
The bad guys who desensitize themselves, they have no social conscience. So.
Okay. And it's a touchy topic, and everybody, when one of these incidents comes up, everybody wants to give a cause, the reason why these incidents occur and happen. And, I'd like to ask, the other guest here, Melanie, and then our co-host, what do you say, and I know you talk about this in your course, what do you say is the reason we have seen such an increase in these massacres?
Well, we look at the trends, and we start looking at around 1990 is when the trends started to increase, the violence started to increase. And we directly, like we talked about earlier, attribute that to the desensitizing of our youth through video games and through the movies, the Saw movies, all these horrible movies. That's not to say that if your kids are out playing video games and they're out watching these movies that they're going to turn into mass murderers. But you take the right kid with the right input or the lack of input, and you put him in front of these movies and start desensitizing him.
Right.
Bad things can happen.
Right. And I agree with you. I mean, it's like I compare it to like baking a cake sometimes, is that, if you have all the ingredients that are right, that cake is going to make itself. But if you take one ingredient out, like the eggs, it's not going to create, you're not going to create a cake.
Correct.
So not necessarily having someone play video games or watch video games is going to cause someone to become a mass murderer. But if you put other elements in there, if there's some mental health issues, if there's a broken home issue, if there's other things that may play into that, and those things all kind of combine and compound on themselves. And it kind of goes with what Mr. House said in his letter that went out to the county this morning. We as a community need to be aware of our children and our surroundings, and if someone's going through something or if they're having issues at home. And the only way we do that is to actually get down and get to know one another. And he hit the nail on the head on there. So it doesn't mean just because your kid plays video games it's necessarily bad. It doesn't mean if he has mental health issues it's necessarily bad. But it's a combination of many factors, and the only way we can get to the bottom of it is just to get to know one another. And I mean, what do you feel like some of the reasons are that we've had an increase, Melanie?
I believe with what Chris said. I believe with what Chris said. The social media and all of that stuff, we don't talk to each other anymore. It's a lot easier to be, I see comments on social media, and there's a lot more, people are a lot more brave behind that instead of in front, where you can't talk with another person like you used to. But if you were right in front of them, your conversation, I think, would be different. And just a lot of that kind of things, and a lot of probably red flags that are on social media that people need to be aware of.
Right.
And, point out, hey, this is something maybe we need to look at.
Right. And I agree with you. I mean, the gentleman, according to news reports, he had made several posts on social media several months ago saying that he was going to do something similar.
Right.
And not that we want to encourage pandemonium and get
No.
people scared and stuff, but, if you do see something, whether it's on social media, if you do see a child acting differently or something, make people aware of it. Law enforcement, parents, administration at school, make them aware of it.
Just a heads up.
Right, exactly. And Sergeant Brown, I know you have a student that's actually in the school system currently. Is this something that's always a concern for you, or how do you prepare your son for this?
Yeah, and it is. You just have to, prepare, and, you expect the worst, and pray for the best. But, you just have to talk with your students about what's going on at school, anything out of the ordinary, or somebody acting a little different. But if you keep an eye on things and talk to your children about it and encourage them if they see something to say something, because it's kind of like we teach on motorcycle classes also, is you've got a chain that's propelling that bike, whether it be a bicycle or motorcycle, and that's what continues that cycle. But if you can take one link out of there to break that chain, that might stop the incident.
Right.
So all you got to do is you need that one thing that is going to stop that continuous flow on it, and might save, one incident.
Right.
In which every incident that you can stop somehow is going to be lives saved.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned the schools. We talked about that. And I know there's been a lot of talk, of course, with this incident on social media here in Montgomery County. And a lot of parents have been asking, what do the schools do? Do we have training? Do we have drills? What do they do? And, it's not something we advertise because we don't want the bad guys to know that we are prepared. We do drills. We do train. What are some of the things that we do with the school system, Sergeant, to be prepared for these incidents?
About 4 years ago, there's a couple of guys at our department that was tasked with this, Jeff Morlock and Chris Montjoy. They went out and they sought many programs. They found this alert training program and started with the CRACE program itself. 4 years ago, we started educating our school system here. We started with the principals, and we went on to start educating staff. Up to now, we've got about 60% of the schools done, with a whole bunch more already scheduled. And now we're off of step one. We're going on to step two with all the schools that we've taught so far. They're asking us to come back and start building on that now. So most of the educators in Clarksville, Montgomery County, have been educated in this CRACE, and we've tailored it specifically that course specifically to schools, with more and more requests coming in. So we are again ahead of the curve as far as teaching our administrators and staff in schools.
And I know the parents, if they knew that, they'd be very grateful for that. So you actually go in, and schools will contact you, schedule an appointment time for you to come in, and for you and your team to come in after hours and go over this civilian response to active shooter training with the teachers, administration, maintenance staff, custodial staff. So everybody who's associated with that school required to stay after hours, go through this training, go through the role-playing scenarios so they know how to be prepared if an event like this happens at their school.
That's correct. Our goal is, of course, 100%. We're well on our way to it.
Okay.
But we'll get there.
And schools are proactively calling you and asking you for this training.
Absolutely.
So, and as soon as the school contacts you, you schedule it, you go out there and complete the training. If they want you to come back on an annual basis, you'll come back on an annual basis, correct?
Most certainly, yes.
Correct. And then each individual school, based on the letter that was sent out this morning, they have their own emergency plan. So this is something in conjunction with their emergency plan that they have, something that comes in with, you guys come in and teach them how to respond to it.
That's correct.
Okay. So we'll come right back. We'll talk about the BBB, because you guys are doing wonderful things, and y'all are being very proactive when it comes to workplace violence.
Ever lost or misplaced your debit card? Now, before that happens, download the Card Valet mobile app. With it, you can turn your F&M debit card on and off, establish when, where, and how it is used, and much more. And best of all, it's free. From F&M Bank, member FDIC.
Is the temperature in your house lower than the outside temp? Then you need to call Action Air at 931-647-8525 or actionairclarksville.com. We have no overtime diagnostic fee from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So why are you sitting in the cold? Call Action Air at 931-647-8525. Let our experts get you back to your comfort zone.
When you need action, call Action Air.
Moore's Office Supply is Clarksville's office supply and furniture experts. For office equipment, desks, chairs, and more, depend on Moore's Office Supply. Located on Franklin Street across from the Catholic Church, Moore's has been your business partner for office supplies in the Clarksville-Fort Campbell area for years. Call Moore's at 645-7200. That's 645-7200. And we'll deliver it for free. Moore's Office Supplies, Clarksville's office supply headquarters.
Looking for a new golf experience? Tired of playing the same old courses? Try Clarksville's newest golf course, the River Club Golf and Learning Center, located along the Red River. The picturesque River Club offers some of the area's best golf, putting greens, and driving ranges. And while you're there, stop by and have lunch in the clubhouse or enjoy some live music in the evenings. It's open to the public and waiting for you. The River Club Golf and Learning Center, Clarksville's premier golf experience. Call the River Club of Clarksville today for more information. 931-919-3200. The River Club of Clarksville.
Clarksville Online is where you'll find the latest in Clarksville area news, weather, sports, and current events. Depend on Clarksville Online for crime reports and special events, Fort Campbell news and current events, and the latest financial news. Want sports? Then visit ClarksvilleSportsNetwork.com. Movie listings and weather bulletins? Go to DiscoverClarksville.com. And for all you bikers, visit ClarksvilleMotorcycle.com. You'll find everything you need in the Clarksville Online digital network. Clarksville Online. We are Clarksville.
1 Adam 12, 1 Adam 12, a 450.
Welcome back to Behind the Badge. Today we're talking about the violence that occurs in workplaces and schools, the massacres that have been occurring. Unfortunately, it's a reoccurring topic on the news. It seems like at least once a week or once every 2 weeks. I know a lot of businesses have approached us, the sheriff's office, about coming in and doing that CRAZE training. And we're very fortunate to have a very proactive Better Business Bureau in this community. And Melanie, tell us why it's so important for businesses to actually go through this training.
Because you can't say anymore that this won't happen to us, because it could. It very well could. And I've gone through businesses throughout the counties, and some have like the front door lock and that's it. Some have a whole security system with panic buttons, and you just never know, and you need to be prepared and proactive. Your business needs to be ready. Your employees need to be ready too, and know how to protect themselves.
And why is it important for you guys to provide this service to the Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky area?
Because we want them to be safe.
Okay. And that's
really,
that's what it basically boils down to.
It is.
Right. And can you let us know, we've partnered, and we appreciate the partnership, and our goal is to at least once a quarter, based on a need for the community, at least once a quarter, to go out and provide this course. So what is our next one that's coming up?
The next one that's coming up is Tuesday, March 13th. It's at the Pinnacle Family Entertainment Center on Warfield Boulevard. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 11.
Okay. And what do they need to do if they would like to attend this?
They just need to contact me. My phone number is 931-503-2210. Or they can email, which is mthompson, THOMPSON, at gobbb.org.
Okay. And I know we've got one, I believe we talked about coming up in June. I don't know if we've got the exact date, because we're going to look at the training schedule to see what theirs is. But
yes.
We're looking at tentatively in June. So if a business cannot attend this one, can they attend the one in June?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to have them just call and get signed up. Is there a limit to the number of people from a business or a company that can come?
There's not a limit. The Pinnacles, they can take about 170.
Okay.
So seats are beginning to fill up.
Okay.
These last 2 days.
I can understand why.
Yeah.
Okay. So call if you need to make a reservation, and anybody can, and they can email you if it's after hours or something.
Absolutely.
To get reserved. The CRAZE course, just so, because I want our listeners to know that this is a national standard, isn't it? That's accepted by the FBI, isn't it, Sergeant Olson?
We adopted this program, not only the Alert, the Erase, but the CRAZE, because it is taught all over the United States. And it's taught to about 90,000 officers throughout the United States. So this program, if I find myself in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and there's an active shooter going on, I'm trained to the same standards they are. I can fall in with their team, and we can do what we need to do to stop that active shooter. Along with that, most of their programs, including CRAZE, is a national standard. It's federally backed.
Okay, that's amazing. So it's something that if you, the wonderful thing is that what that means to our listeners, though, so let's take you take this course here in Clarksville, Montgomery County, and if you go on vacation to Seattle, Washington, you can take the same techniques that you've learned here, and law enforcement up there is going to be familiar with that.
For the most part, the bigger municipalities are on board with this, and it will mesh with their program also.
Okay. And y'all have been doing this. I'm going to brag about you. I know you don't like to brag about yourself, but I'm going to brag about you. You all have been doing this for about 4 years now.
Correct.
And I know, going to the training with you, that we've had other agencies approach you. We've had other individuals from other communities that are not even Montgomery County approach you. And what did they ask you?
They're asking us if we can come to their community and provide the same information.
Okay. So you guys are definitely the standard in Middle Tennessee.
Well,
so I appreciate everything that you all do. And when you called upon, you come into action. And we've seen that in the past here. So is there anything you want to add, Sergeant Brown?
Well, I just would like to encourage people to, if you have a business, to bring your employees to this training. It's going to benefit you tremendously, because if it's not a matter of if something's going to happen, it's when.
Right.
It's going to happen, because we're such a target in this community that you need to make sure that your employees know, and you're providing this service to your employees to help assist them and make them feel more comfortable and safe in their workplace, that they know what to do if something was to happen.
Right. That's good. So just to recap, we for the businesses here in town, we've got a partnership with the Better Business Bureau that we're going to go once a quarter and do instruction there, so businesses can come in and learn about the CRAZE course. As far as churches, what do we do with churches here in town?
We're taking them as they come. We've whittled down to once a quarter also.
Okay.
Our next one, I think, is in March.
Yes.
And it is at, I have to look at the schedule. We do have one planned for March, so if there's any churches out there that want to partake in that, give us a call at 648-0611, extension 13515.
All right.
And they can leave us a message.
Okay, so we've got the businesses with the Better Business Bureau. We go in and do churches quarterly, and other churches are welcome to come in to that training and listen and learn. And then we also have the schools taken care of.
And we're doing the schools as needed basis. That was hard to get out. On an as needed basis. Yes.
As they request it, I'm sure we'll attend.
Yes.
But and if somebody
have the priority.
Missed some of this information, you can go to the Sheriff's Office Facebook page and scroll through there and find where we've posted information about these events coming up.
Yes, we do that. So come, you can email me on Facebook on our Montgomery County page if you want. So thank you all for coming in today. It's a very timely topic and an important topic. So I'm very grateful for your time to come in and talk about it. For myself and Sergeant Brown, thank you for listening to Behind the Badge.